Well, let me please welcome Kristin Belleson, Chief Executive Officer of the American College of Sports Medicine, to the annual meeting of the American College of Sports Medicine and World Congresses held here in San Diego, California. Welcome, Kristin.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much.
Good.
It is hard to believe that Kristin was hired in February of 2020, just prior to the start of this pandemic. So I imagine this has been a very turbulent time at times for you in your position, and I just wanted to welcome you and thank you for all of the work that you've done over these past few years in leading our college.
Thank you, Sean. I thank you too.
So let's first start with your hire in February of 2020. What has it been like for you over the course of these past 2 years, now that you are finally able to come to the annual meeting?
Well, it's been interesting, and I think looking back, I believe that COVID had a lot of silver linings. I didn't realize it then in March of 2020 when we had to send all of our staff home, working fully remote, just getting to know the team. Had been on board for about 5 weeks, but now after being here and understanding what ACSM is, I think those 24 months or so, really getting to know the operation and understanding ACSM's infrastructure were actually a really good thing, because while I understood association management and I understood organizational management, I was new to ACSM and didn't know the infrastructure. And with all the changes we had to make in 2020, canceling an in-person meeting, going fully remote, changing to online learning, it allowed me to learn the internal operations in a way that I don't think I would have been able to learn otherwise. So I do believe that was a silver lining, and to be able to be here now and understand ACSM in a really different way that I didn't in February of 2020 has been really good.
And now, I know this is a small question, now that we are here, what does it feel like to be at an annual meeting for the first time after being in this position for 2 years?
It's amazing. It's so great to see all of you. It's great to be sitting here with you and being with our staff and our team. And it's really interesting. Some of the search committee members, I've had the opportunity to see them and have not seen them in 2.5 years. Finally get to meet all of my bosses, the board of trustees, which I've only met 5 or 6 of them before this and before the pandemic. So to be able to meet all of our members and interact with them, and I think them seeing me and being face-to-face gives them a level of trust and understanding that probably isn't resonated as well on Zoom and virtually. So just really good to be here and see everyone.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So if we get into a little bit of background first, I imagine a young 18-year-old Kristin Belleson was not thinking of CEO of ACSM when she started her college career path. Can you share with us a little bit about what some of your goals might have been at that time in your life?
Of course, it's interesting. I actually, when I was interviewing and recruited for this role, I remembered in 7th grade, in my 7th or 8th grade yearbook, I wanted to be a sports medicine physician, which is kind of ironic because I'm terrible with science, and it's good I didn't go down that route and ended up being a journalism and mass communications major. But when I was 18, I knew I wanted to do something that provided some level of servant leadership and or giving back to a community in some way. Started my career with the YMCA of Metropolitan Chicago, which is a very traditional, not-for-profit, really community-based, grassroots-based organization, which allowed me to get an understanding of what it was like working with volunteers like you and how important, integral you are to an organization. And so 18 years old, I think I was really focused on school. I was a swimmer, but I believe all of those things led me to where I am today.
How do you feel your career in these nonprofit organizations helped prepare you for the position you are in today?
So it's been really interesting. I've had the opportunity to work for large organizations and small organizations, the YMCA of Metropolitan Chicago, the American Dental Association, Society of Gynecologic Oncology, and I've landed at an organization that's somewhere in the middle of all of those with we have just slightly over 50 staff, $14 million operating budget. So I had the understanding to see large organizations and small organizations and really do hands-on in meeting planning, in education, in accreditation, in operations. So being able to take advantage and working at a great organization like the American Dental Association that really runs a lot like a business, and then also the philanthropic and member-focused side was great, but it has given me the opportunity to cull all of the things I've learned from each of those places and put ACSM in a place that I think we need to go for the future.
Sure. As a student, were there any mentors that you could think of that played an important role in your development as a professional? And then the second part, as a professional, have there been many mentors that helped play a role in your development?
Absolutely. In college, I had, as a swimmer, I always looked up to my coaches and athletes that were older than me. So not even, my teammates, female teammates of mine, but also individuals on other sports within the athletic departments, within the sports administration. There were always females, women, men, individuals that I knew I wanted to be like. And I think the one important thing that I learned is integrity is so critical. You could have a skill set and you could be really great at something, but if there's a lack of integrity, I think that's hard. And then as I got older, I had several female mentors along the way, and males. Obviously, as a female leader, I've resonated more with some females and understanding the challenges that females still have and moving past those things. I've had 2 or 3 female bosses that were really great and really taught me and taught me something different, right? Like one really focused on working with board of trustee members, one really focused on the marketing aspect, one really focused on the finance piece. So I've culled things from each individual leader that I've learned from, sometimes good, sometimes bad. And I think that's the part when you get to this part of our career, you really realize you learn from every single aspect. It's not just the good, it's sometimes the bad and the challenging too.
Yeah. How challenging has it been for you to navigate your career to where you are today?
I've been really, really lucky that I've made very deliberate and strategic changes in regards to my career. I've been one of those individuals that has never been fly my resume out and make sure it lands somewhere. I've been really deliberate about where I've wanted to go and what I've learned. So I started my career in membership. I moved into some roles that had operations and education and marketing, and then started to understand foundation side of things. So I think by learning every different aspect has helped me understand the organization as a whole. I always say, being a CEO or any sort, we don't know everything, but if we surround ourselves with the people who are experts in those areas, that's what makes us a successful leader. And I am the first one to know where my strengths are and not, and surround myself with people who are strong in certain areas.
Sure. Do you have any advice for a young professional trying to navigate their career based on your experiences?
I do. So my suggestion is go to everything you can. Go to meetings, go to events, get on the phone with volunteer leaders, talk to board of trustee members, talk if you work for a membership organization, talk with other leaders in the organization. I think by listening, learning, asking questions, it's really how you grow. So I think putting yourself in a situation, no one's going to come knock on your door. It is, if you are invited to a reception, go to the reception. If you're invited to something at your university, go to that. Like, just make sure you put yourself out there, because you learn from every individual you meet. So I think it's forcing yourself outside of your comfort zone quite a bit.
What would you say are some of the accomplishments that you're most proud of so far?
ACSM specifically, I think, after replacing a CEO who did a great job and led the organization for 31 years, I think understanding what I thought the staff and the culture needed was a lot of collaboration, empowerment. And so I'm really proud that we are getting to a point where staff feel comfortable. Psychological safety is really important to me. I like to have lots of open dialogue. So I'm really proud of creating a culture, I think, that is very open and honest, and doing what we all think is best for ACSM in general. Some other accomplishments, while I was at the American Osteopathic Association, we went through a transition of a CEO, and so I think always navigating leadership change is hard. So I was really proud and understood when I came into this role how important and understanding transition is not easy, and being compassionate about it. I think sometimes leaders forget, and we get in our own lane,
Sure.
and understanding that people need to feel part of the process and comfortable, and transitions are not easy. Just acknowledging they're not easy has been something I've really tried to focus on and continue to focus on.
Yeah, I can say as a member that open and honesty piece has been a fantastic piece for me being a member of the organization and being able to actually visualize it and see that when you think about it.
It is. And, you know, I think there is something about being a good leader and understanding that we got this, but also vulnerable enough to share that we need your help. Like, we have this, but we need your help, and we need our members' help, and we need the board's guidance. And I also need historical perspective from past presidents and members who have been part of our organization for a long time, and culling from each of them learnings has been really good.
So specific to ACSM, and understand that your sample size of time is relatively small, what would you say are some of your most memorable moments thus far with the organization?
I have to say, unfortunately or fortunately, it was when we all sat in the room together on March 13th, and we were in our conference, our distance learning center at the ACSM National Headquarter building, and talking about, okay, we have to go home. We're only going to be home for a couple of weeks, and ended up being months and months. And so looking back, I think the one thing that I'm proud of, but also understand the enormity of it, was navigating, and I hate to use this word, but pivoting and sending everyone home and working from home and working remotely, but still creating a culture that was open and warm and inviting. I think the one thing that I indicated earlier that's been important is, even though I may not see the staff face to face, I'm with them on Zoom meetings, phone, all day, all the time. So I didn't get to learn about them in person, but I think learning about them, you know, and having the opportunity to have meetings with them all the time really gave me a different insight into ACSM.
Not something you would have planned for, but
Yes.
glad that you've had, possibly.
Yeah, but I think going back to another really great accomplishment is, thankfully in 20 and 21, we had surplus budget years, which was really great. I'm also really proud we did not have to make any staff reductions during the pandemic, which I think really says something about the financial soundness of ACSM, but also how much our staff contribute to what we do. We've actually grown our staff during the pandemic while also staying within budget constraints, so I think that's good. But really proud of what we did in 20 and 21, and keeping things together without making any significant disruption is something I feel really good about.
So as CEO of ACSM for a few years now, what advice might you have for students or future professionals in the field?
It seems every time I talk to someone and a member, I always learn about a different position, whether it's overseeing a clinical practice focused on sports medicine and patient care, to someone that worked in exercise physiology and is now on a health promotion team doing something very different within their university. So I think the wide variety of what our members do and the gamut of the professions that live within sports medicine, exercise science, exercise physiology has been extremely eye-opening to me. But also, if you can pave your own way depending on your strengths, whether you have research in a particular area and you're able to expand that, or you're a sports medicine physician that focuses on one particular type, diabetes, or prevention of diabetes, that if you are able to find your strengths, you can make your way. And there seem to be quite a bit of pathways. And like I said, I think it goes back to opening your eyes and taking advantage of all the opportunities out there.
Sure. So some of our future leaders of ACSM are 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age right now in their undergraduate programs, earning their bachelor's degree. What advice do you have for a young student trying to navigate their career in trying to get the degree, get a certification, get a job, and maybe get involved in ACSM?
You just answered it, John. I was going to say, get involved in ACSM. You're a testament. Our volunteer leaders are amazing. I could pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, what's going on here? And I think young undergraduate students, graduate students, PhD students, med students, find a mentor within ACSM, and they are more than been willing to do that and answer the call and be involved. And after being at the meeting, I see these are truly lifelong friendships that they've created. And it's so amazing to see our very seasoned leaders walking around with new emerging leaders and introducing them to people and making them feel comfortable. I haven't seen it in another organization the way it is at ACSM. So they do not take mentorship lightly. They take it seriously, and they are there to really, truly embrace and groom the next, the next group of leaders at ACSM.
Sure. So, as relatively new in your position and as CEO of this organization, what could be one message that you would want to give to all of our members for us as membership to help to continually grow the American College of Sports Medicine?
So I really believe, I've thought a lot about this because I had the opportunity to think a lot about a lot of things over the last 2.5 years. And I think the one thing, if I were to take a takeaway, and one thing that I've tried to focus on is building a really strong infrastructure to support our members in whatever that may be. So giving our members what they want when they want it, and building the internal infrastructure with staffing, with technology, with access, with making things easy to navigate, whether it's on acsm.org, pushing information out through social media channels. So I think the takeaway, or when I look at what is the one thing that I'm really trying to do, is build an infrastructure for future sustainability for ACSM so that we can continue to give our members what they want and when they want it, and also adapt to market changes. So really paying attention to what our members need, what they're saying, what they're doing, what is keeping them up at night, and getting them to a place where they feel like ACSM is their place to look for those resources.
Well, Kristin, thank you very much for taking time today to spend and meet with us for this next installment of the Distinguished Leaders video series. It is very appreciative. Thank you very much. Your busy schedule, sit down with us and share some of your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.